Welcome to the hottest podcast in the nation. It's the roguesun podcast. I'm Radio Matt, joined as always by my magnificent co-hosts Bass and Charlie, and we're here to talk about the latest issue of roguesun. It's the roguesun podcast. All right, here's Bash and Charlie. Bash, how's it going?
Good, thanks. I'm excited. Always excited to get more massiveverse books. It's been quite a year for the massiveverse. Yeah, we've had some delays, but we got the end of the Catalyst War, which was amazing. Check out our reviews on those issues at the Radiant Black podcast. And, we love Rogue Sun. Ryan Parrott seems to be having an amazing year. We've got Vicarious. We just had Infernos, which we covered on the show. You can check those episodes out. And we have Vicarious and Rogue Sun right now. It's a good time to be a Ryan Parrott fan. So very excited.
What about you, Charlie?
Oh, yeah. It's been an awesome week for comics, especially. We got the new Justice League came out, Absolute Wonder Woman, and yeah, just a lot of massiveverse. I think Cowl came out this week. I've yet to read that yet, but excited to dive into that. And like Bash said, Vicarious, just a little tease, but it's freaking awesome. Can't wait to talk about that with you guys. We should be talking about that soon. Hopefully 1 and 2 kind of at the same time. So look out for those reviews. And yeah, kind of the cold and the snow starting to come in, so that kind of sucks. But it's nice to be here, all warmed up, talking about Rogue Sun. So yeah, doing good. How are you, Matt?
Pretty good. Life's been pretty hectic, but the massiveverse, that's my constant, and it's always nice to be able to come back and chat about this kick-ass series with you guys. I actually got to rock the Radiant Black shirt at work, because where I work, they don't care what t-shirt you wear. So it was Radiant Black Friday. I was selling customers stuff and low-key doing some guerrilla marketing. So I'm not going to officially say send me your merch if you want me to advertise at work, but I mean, I don't know. I'm going to say this again on the Radiant Black podcast where Kyle listens. No, I assume Kyle listens to this one too. But Ryan, the option's open as well. I'm for me to do nothing that I suggested, of course, because that would be illegal. But yeah, life's great. Rogue Sun is heating up as always. This was a wild issue that I was expecting to hear more about, but we're going to fix that right now. So we're going to get into it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Blacklight sale on the Massiveverse store. I forget what it's called. The Black Market Narrative
Blacklight
store.
Friday or
Blacklight Friday, something like that. 30% off. So check that out, guys. If you love Reading Black, Rogue Sun, all that stuff, check out that sale. Black Friday, tons of exciting sales. I even saw, I'm pretty sure Rogue Sun, the trade, like one of the more recent trades, was on sale on Amazon. So if you're curious about that, check that out.
Read issue 10 how it's meant to be read.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it with the actual Blacklight. Like I'm gonna have to do that at some point. It's just I didn't have access to it.
Yeah. They if you got the box, it comes with the Blacklight.
Yeah, I missed out on the box. I'll have to come over and we'll have to like set up a pillow for it and then get that going.
Yeah. We got the card game. Yeah. We got news on the card game real quick. Finally, they've
some people are getting it already.
Yeah.
Got it
already. Yeah. They said
like
they're starting to ship those out. They've got them already.
Like normal people.
Yes.
Some plebs like us have been getting them recently. So
they're starting to fulfill.
But, we have a Canada Post strike here, and then USPS just said they're not sending anything to Canada until their shit's worked out. So there's 2 big postal carriers.
Yeah, we might have to wait a bit, but that's okay. We've waited this long, and yeah, I'm super excited for that, for sure.
All right, guys, let's dive into issue 23. So I'll put up the cover here in a sec. We've got this gorgeous cover. 1 sec. There we go. We got this gorgeous cover A by.
Yeah, that's a kick-ass cover.
Yeah, that's super nice. Got our guy Stefano Simeone.
Never disappoints.
I don't know how many he's done now, but yeah, he kills it every time. So
what's happening with this app?
Like that'd be a sweet tattoo. If you're gonna Rogue Sun tattoo, that's a contender.
Yes.
Imagine just going to a tattoo artist like, yeah, you gotta replicate Stefano's work. Good luck on my skin. Like it's hard. It's a tough act to swallow.
Yeah,
that's not an expression. That's too.
I feel like this cover is kind of a tease, like a foreshadowing. You can almost say.
Yes.
So the kind of elements of what happens in this issue, but amazing cover. We did hear some news. I did get my letter published in this issue, which I love.
Yeah.
And yeah, you see, I asked about the banners, and they said yes, the banners are going to be staying for all the Massiveverse books. So Rogue Sun, Radiant Black going forward, they're keeping them. Cool. And they said that Stefano is going to be back to do more covers next arc. So I'm very excited for that. The banner is growing on me. I don't like I don't like this one as much, just because of the color. I don't know why, but I do like the Radiant Black banner a lot, especially with the blue cover that has a certain. I'm not gonna say who it is if you haven't caught up and read, but in Radiant Black 31, they've already showed the cover. The cover has the winner on it, and then they have a blue banner on the side that it's really cool. It just looks nice. So excited for that.
I'm getting used to it. I'm not excited. Those virgin covers are I'm pretty sure they're going to go up in value. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, it's a business decision. If it boosts sales, I'm down for it. If it means more,
if it helps people identify the Massiveverse books, I'm down for it. Like if it's a clear, you know what I mean? Like the Ultimate has the thing on the side, and people can clearly identify it. I'm fine with this.
I wonder if it changes the framing, right? Because obviously this is probably a full image, or maybe they made it just so
I think they just cover it. I think what they do is
they do cut it off.
Yeah. But you would probably have to move the skull so it's not in the complete center, right? So you get all of it, right? Because it looks like it would probably. I'd be interested to see how that would impact the artist getting into it and doing it.
Yeah, because like I notice even like with the Ultimate books from Marvel, they always have the image with the border, and then when you open the book, the very first page, the back of the cover is the image without the border.
Yeah,
I really appreciate. Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
So, so we've got let's talk about the creative team on this issue. We've got Ryan Parrott and Nick Cotton, the dream team, back together. They've been doing this arc, and it seems like they're keeping it going, or most of this arc. We got Bruno Frenda, the artist from last issue, continuing their the art duties on this issue. They've been doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Natalia Marquez, she's amazing. She truly doesn't get enough credit. Her work on this title is fantastic. We love seeing her colors every issue. Of course, letter extraordinaire Becca Carey, covered by Stefano Simeone, production artist Wesley Griffith, logo designer Phonographics, and the legendary editor and designer Michael Pasuto. roguesun created by Ryan Parrott and Abel. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about this issue. I have 3 or 4 pages selected from the issue. Again, we don't want to spoil everything, but we put aside 3 or 4 important pages just to share while we talk about them, visual supplement and all that.
I can't imagine the person that's listening to like Radiant Black Pod or this just to hear about it, but not enough to like support it and buy it and make sure there's more. But apparently there are a few of you, so I don't know. Go and buy this book, at least buy the omnibuses.
The amount of people that were like so offended when the reprint for Radiant Black 30 came out, which collected like both issues, and they were like, I wish I waited. It's like, bro, like you're getting 50 pages for $8 and top.
You have where it happened. This is the first time this happened. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's worth it. I see so many of you pay such high fees or prices for shit Marvel books and DC books all the time. I don't know why. Like all the time I see. I'm sorry, but so it's like
we're all guilty. We're all guilty.
We're all guilty, right? Like so who cares? If you're supporting a good indie book, you're keeping it going. I love that. And like, you know, most Marvel number ones, like look at Marvel Aliens versus Avengers, right? That's $8 book. It's an $8 book for that. Hickman Tax. These books are always $3.99, even when they add extra pages. If you recall, even Radiant Black 30.5, they added like I think 6 pages extra, something like that, and they did not increase the price. It was still $3.99. So love that. Yeah, so we open up with a flashback to the past. If you recall, last issue we got somewhat a partial origin of Divinity. Of when she was a child, we had a flashback. We saw what happened. They were filling up gas in the car at the gas station. They're attacked by someone, and something happens to Divinity. She gets hit by something. We don't really know what happens, but we assume that's her origin. That's how she got some powers. Well, in this issue here, the first page, we pick up on that. We've got Dottie talking to her sister Viv. They're at the hospital with Divinity kind of in a coma. And, you know, Dottie's just really, out of it. She has, plasters all over her face, Band-Aids. And she's clearly, really sad about what happened. And Viv is not even upset. She's telling her, look, I'm not upset. Like, I'm just glad that you're okay. And we find out something interesting, which is, like Viv knows about all the magic stuff, but she just never really got into it because she didn't have the disposition for it. She wasn't good at it. Whereas Dottie was always good at it. So I feel like not so much resentment, but you can tell that it got in the way of Viv's relationship with her mother because she couldn't relate to it.
Yeah. It's just like Harry Potter, where his aunt never really was magic, but the mom is. Sorry, spoilers for like book 5 or 6.
I love the panel of like little Dottie like doing the spells, and then Viv in the back just like, oh, to be able to do that,
Yeah, and how many pages Ryan's managed to weave, and Nick Cotton there is like they really weaved a really tight narrative about the. I feel like we know them in like a few pages. Like Dottie's been around, but we haven't seen Viv or Divinity, and just I assume she got her powers when they brought her back because Sometimes those dead
Yes.
doesn't come back.
I agree. That's my assumption as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. This was super cool. Kind of just learning more about Dottie. She's definitely one of the best characters in this whole book, and Divinity. She's been such a good addition. But we also see her mom here. I'm very curious about her mom, and I'm kind of curious if we're going to learn more about her. I really hope we do, but it looks like she kind of wears the same gold bracelet as Dottie does, and kind of about the same thing. So I wonder if she kind of was in charge of this shop before Dottie and all that. But yeah, it's seeing Viv here was super cool. And I think that the biggest line for sure is she's thankful Dottie left this whole magic out of her family. But she did say, like, I know you have the means to bring my daughter back, and I don't care about the price. And I think the biggest question is, what is this price? What did Dottie actually have to do to bring her back? I'm super curious about that, and I'm sure we'll get the answer soon.
Maybe she has to feed off demons or something to keep alive, or to keep.
Maybe she had to make a deal with the Morningstar. That'd be pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure that's kind of the route she's going down.
That'd be interesting.
Because that's the person we've seen in a constant giving all these people powers throughout the series.
Or Finnegan Root. You tell me he can't bring someone back. Like, we could see Finnegan.
That'd be pretty cool.
Hey. That's kind of a joke one, but Morningstar is more troublesome. That would be more complicated, because I don't know. That would be really interesting if it was Morningstar. I like to see where this is going, and we're going to see a part where Viv finds out that she was doing magic stuff, and it was the magic stuff that came back and got Divinity killed. Like, I can't see, that's got to come to light at some point. Nothing really stays buried forever, especially I'm not going to make any puns, but no, this is really intense.
Yeah, the villains from last issue, the new villains we got that bust up the their investigation, they're still there. But I love Divinity's confidence in this moment. Like, she's so confident they're not going to do anything. She's like, you guys have no shot. It's like, I'm just gonna beat the shit out of you both. It's gonna be fun for me. But obviously there's collateral damage because, well, Divinity, she's a bit cocky in that moment, even though I agree it's confidence, but she lets her guard down and she gets kind of attacked from behind. But that's where Dottie comes in with the clutch. I love the line, "Take your smoke hands off my knees, hell bitch." That's like straight up, and gives it to her, lays right into her, stabs her with this like mystical sword, right? And then she says, what does she say? She's like, "The Pterodax blade, this has been lost for centuries. What other little treasures are you hiding here, witch?" And that's where Divinity jumps on her, and she's like, "Oh, so much cool shit." And she fucking snaps her. I'm assuming she kills her there. Like, it's like she breaks her. There's a crack. So a crunch.
Crunch. So, she's like at least snapping her ribs or something. But we definitely learned like that. Also, we knew this place was kind of like a magical hive in a way, but it really seems like these two, and I don't think we got their names.
Dowser, I think, is the Viking.
Dowser. Yes. Dowser. I do. Yes, that sounds familiar. But they do say they've been after this plot for a long time. It also does seem like they're married as well. I think one of them says dear at some point. So that's kind of funny.
I just love that all these characters exist out there. Like, there's just so many random ones of the week. Like, villain of the week in the best way possible. I like it.
Yeah.
And we learned that this place, they say this dwelling is more than a nexus point, she says. And this is kind of just revealing that there's something more to this whole location, and that we still don't know yet. Maybe this was part of the deal. Maybe this kind of happened before. But yeah, right before she was able to give out her answer, that's when she snaps her ribs and all that. So Divinity could have waited a sec, but it was in the heat of the battle, so hard to blame her.
Now
you got the temper.
You mentioned the Morningstar stuff. We kind of maybe thought that we'd get more of like a Morningstar face-off by like issue 25. Maybe there will be a bit of a brush up in 25, and we get that reveal that I brought Divinity back, and that's why you hate me, or that's what who knows, right? I think that could be where we're heading, right? Because 25 is usually a landmark issue for most series.
That could be, and that could be next. This is also the penultimate issue. Like, there's only one more until the end of the arc. Normally they do 6-issue arcs, so 25 should be the beginning of a new arc. So that's normally
they said
where we
that's
learn
what
some
they're
new
doing.
things.
They said that 25 will be a good jumping on point for both, like Radiant Black 31 and roguesun 25 will be a good jumping on point for new readers. So
roguesun picking up ground. 6 issues behind now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious what that pterodax blade did though. Like she stabbed the demon with it,
Yeah.
and it really didn't seem to do anything. But yeah, that was kind of disappointing. I thought it was gonna, like, I don't know, blow her up or something. But maybe it's just a cool knife. Maybe it's just a cool knife.
Yeah.
It's just a cool knife.
I love the balance in this issue between, like, we have two plots happening at the same time. We have the divinity subplot, right, with Dottie and all that, and then we have the Dylan Marcus plot, which is our, like,
Yeah.
I assume they're going to connect at some point, but that's where we bounce off to next. We're back at the Aviary with the Raven Queen, and it's a tense moment because, or shit's tense because it's clear now that there's someone coming after them, someone trying to kill them, and they're not really sure if it's an external or an internal threat, and that's what they're trying to figure out here. And we pick up on the end of last issue where the witness was killed by the Philistine. Here they're asking, like, what did you learn? And he says, like, okay, unfortunately I was interviewing. I love how he says interviewed. Like, that's how you know he's a kid. Like, he's saying the wrong words, but like I love it. Adds like charm to it.
Yeah.
And he's like I interrogated, I mean interviewed him myself, but he sort of kind of died. She's like, bravo, well done. Your father would be pleased. Giving the face palm. I love that moment. But then that's where they
things get interesting.
They want to identify the person because he gives them the power set. He's like, this guy can jump from shadow to shadow. So they're like, okay, that narrows it down, right?
Yeah.
And also, I want to ask you guys too. First of all, shout out to Natalia Marquez, and in this, like, page, especially with these like all the blue shining in from the aviary, just looks super cool off the orange of Dylan's suit. But one thing I want to say, I am skipping to the end, but we know someone did betray her and kind of hired the Philistine. But did you guys think is it that girl beside Raven Queen right now? She says, and you have the evidence to support your claim. And I kind of went back, and they have the same robe and the same kind of headgear. We saw them at first, and I think, what's her name? The
high
priest? The high priest or the high sister is someone else, but this girl's named the Ariness or the Airiness or something, and I think we're gonna learn more about her next issue, but it seems like very much her kind of right hand girl or whatever. But yeah, who knows what, we don't really know much about her, so we can't really know her motivations yet, but it's just it was kind of interesting to see how many people were against her this issue. We thought it was maybe only one, but
there's like a rogue contingent of people.
It doesn't seem like the Raven Queen is she has too many supporters down here in the,
or less than she thought, at least. Also, the big reveal,
definitely.
Her and Marcus definitely hooked up. There's like no doubt. Like, there's no doubt. So that's why it's weird they mentioned that, but I don't think it's out of place. But it's also could be like a former lover that got spurned as well. Not that it's implied, but I think that could be like one of those things they tuck in there, just mentioning the theme of, like, she does have had a rocky relationship in the past. I think it is possible it could have been a former lover, but it's likely it could just be a coworker, one of the sisters. Like Charlie was saying, it could be because was it last issue we got the 3 suspects, or was it this one? I think it was this one.
It was this one. It was it was the wing keeper who we find out actually they say is the most powerful creature in the aviary. I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm curious to see if we
those are the suspects, right? There's the high sister and the wing keeper. And we'll see both. We've seen both throughout this arc a little bit.
We've seen both, but I believe it is the Aviness who she doesn't have on her suspect list yet. But she's kind of like right at the start. Like, he's like, Dylan comes in and is like, we had this witness, and this girl says, oh, do you have the evidence? Like, she definitely seems like she's plotting something. So yeah, 100%.
That's where we get I love the contrast. Like, again, to echo what Charlie said, the colors of Natalia or Matt or both of you, they're gorgeous, and when you see that transition from when they're at the throne, and then they go to the suspects, there's these just blues which are gorgeous, but then they go to the letter room or whatever, the secret room, and that's where the colors are more orange and reds, and they look beautiful, just like that contrast to go from like all these blues to something bolder. It was really nice. I love how it gives the aviary like this depth. It feels like there's layers to it. It's like a big place, and it's really well curated in that sense. Like it feels like they put a lot of thought into how this place looks and how big it is and how they want to immerse you within it. I thought that was really cool. Love seeing the wings, the little birds around, like all that. And that's where we have this page here that
it's almost like the Ministry of Magic or something, right? Like or something like that.
Yeah, that's really a good comparison. Yeah, that's a good comparison. And one line I did want to shout out is the Raven Queen says, "Oh, like we're all sisters. We would never turn on each other." And then Dylan says, "Like, oh yeah, totally, absolutely, girl power."
Girl power, yeah,
yeah, girl power.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
No, that made
sure, yeah. Here's the page right after they get to the secrets, the Aviary secrets, the secret part of the Aviary, I guess you could say. And he says, okay, I've looked over all these scrolls 1,000 times. And he's like, are all secrets about sex or money? And then I love this line from Raven Queen. She says, man is not what he is, but what he chooses to hide. So she's giving that deep shit, that like years of experience, buddy. It's like, oh, you think you've seen shit, my friend? Just wait.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really cool. And that's where she says, that's where they talk about Marcus. And to Marcus's dismay, that's when they start talking about him. And he says, like, oh, it sounds like he was almost the Raven King. And she's like, oh, is that what he told you? And she's like, I was fond of your father, but he was never quite as, he says, as smart or as charming as he thought he was. And he's like, oh, that's so. But I'm surprised. Like, you can tell that she at least is being honest, because she says Marcus was heroic, kind, selfless, and determined. He deserved the power of the roguesun. But if I had to pick one word to describe him best, it would be guilty. That man was haunted by things he could never talk about. Clearly, this is setting up for more revelations down the line. I'm very excited to find out more about this, because this had me really intrigued. The whole issue is intriguing, but I love how it bounces from secret to secret to secret, which is really appropriate given where they are. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love how in that moment as well, Marcus is quiet and he's almost like his body language is telling. Like he's like, oh shit, you know what I mean?
She got me pegged. Like she knows me. Shit, there's no hiding. Even though I'm dead, like in the afterlife, I can't escape. Also saying,
even after when he says like, never embarrass me like that again, like he's clearly pissed off. Like they touched the nerve, you know?
Yeah. And I like the description that she gives of him could also really pretty easily apply to Dylan as well, right? Because like father, like son, they're very similar of like, you know, both heroic and stuff like that. They're not as charming or smart as I think they are, right? Like Dylan tries to charm all the time, and a lot of the time it doesn't work, like with Vanessa, and he thinks he's really smart, but he's still got a lot to learn. So, you never want to be the one that's talking the most in the room. That's a lesson I still have to learn, but you learn the most from, listening. And Dylan listens a lot, but he also is still pretty pig-headed and dives in. Like, even at this stage, he saved a lot of lives and stuff like that, but he's still a teenager who's cocky as hell and never realized, like, I should probably learn about the supernatural thing. He has to get punched in the face first. Anyway.
Yeah. And we actually see that, like, I think we see a bit of that maturity in this issue when he's trying to fight. He's like, why don't I have any weapons? Why don't you teach me? If you want me to actually win these fights, you got to teach me these things. And the guy's like, why do you want a weapon? And then the girl just like beats his ass with the swords. And he's like, oh, okay, never mind. But yeah.
Do you think he's finally going to channel the sword in the Morningstar fight? That's my.
I think eventually, yes. And people in the Discord, and even we've brought this up before about how that like New York Comic-Con variant, he had the scythe, big like reaping spear. I want to see him use that. I would love if he had his own like. I feel like what would be really cool is like if there were existing weapons, but also over the years, roguesuns like added their own weapons to like the mix. I think that would make it like a cool lore thing where it's like each different roguesun kind of added their own weapon to like this arsenal. And it'd be really cool if eventually Dylan adds his own weapon to the arsenal. Because it's like we've seen the Viking guy and he had his like axe or something. Then we've seen like the other guys, they had like flaming chains. Like everyone had their own kind of different weapon that they preferred. So in typical Immortal Iron Fist fashion, I would love to see like they all have different weapons that they add to the arsenal of weapons.
I do like the point though. It sounds like Marcus kind of never used these weapons, and it kind of goes back to the argument of the Green Lanterns. Like why does John make like a gun and then shoot it instead of just like shooting a beam from his ring? Like it's kind of just a waste of time. It's more of just an aesthetic thing. But I still love it nonetheless. I think we all do.
Yeah. And we do see Dylan kind of play with some weapons in this issue. I guess kind of, we'll see. We'll get there.
Yes.
But here he says, don't worry, tell the Raven Queen to save me a good seat for the Ascension. I have this handled by dinner time. That's the cockiness you guys were talking about. That's where we bounce back to the Nexus Point area, where at this point, Dottie is advising Divinity on how to heal her. She's telling her to drop the petals, do all this. But it turns out she's not really healing her. She's reinforcing the area. I'm assuming protecting it with some protective spells. And that's why at the end, Dottie just falls down to her side. She's bleeding out. She says, thank God. And we get a big, big revelation as Divinity's holding her in her arms. She says, you didn't die in a car accident. The night we went to the motocross, I was attacked. One of Morningstar's people, they tried to kill me and you got in the way. You saved my life and it cost you yours. I'm so sorry. And then Divinity's, she looks shocked. She's like, why did you lie to me? Why did you lie to my mom? And she says, I didn't want to, but when it didn't look like you were going to survive, I was afraid your mother would blame me if she knew. I couldn't lose you and her, so I lied. And when you woke up, you didn't remember, so I just kept quiet. She literally gaslighted her. And then she says, this life, your life, it's my fault. And I left everything I left you everything, this place, my house, all of it. It's all yours. Use it to live the life that you never got to. And with that, Dottie falls on her side and she dies. And Divinity's crying. This was a really good moment. Again, like I agree with what the guys were saying earlier. Like even when we got Vivian introduced in that really short, like 2 pages, they added so much character to her. That's good. That's a sign of good writing. Yeah. Sometimes you don't need to tell me the power set, all that crap. You don't need some tragic background. Sometimes just thrust them into the situation, the context, and that everything will work out. And I think that the good writers, Cotton and Parrott, they did that. This moment got me though. I was really sad with this moment. Yeah. It's a big character. I really do agree. Like this is a big character. On the one hand, I think this is a very well-earned death. They did a really good job. And I'm happy at least the one silver lining, I guess you could say, because I love Dottie, is yeah, we lost Dottie, but at least it looks like we're going to get Divinity as a mainstay now. So at least we still have another really cool character. Is cool.
Yeah. That is cool. It almost seemed like Divinity had a chance, or not really a chance to save her, but I think the line that's interesting is Divinity says, "That's it. I'm taking you to the perfection," which we know is kind of the gang that Divinity works for, or is kind of she has to work for. Like it seems like she's in debt to. So I'm pretty sure that the perfection is probably the place that healed Divinity. Maybe I would probably say that, and also the Raven Queen earlier in the issue says, "I have my fair share of villains, including the Perfection and a few other gangs." So I'm curious if Divinity and kind of roguesun are kind of going to be at odds now because she's obviously beholden to the Perfection. Yeah, it's good. But yeah, this death. It did suck. It didn't suck.
It was well done, but if you felt it,
it was well done. It sucks that she died. I honestly didn't expect her to die at all in this issue. I saw those 2 villains, and I'm like, what all Dottie's been through. Like these guys aren't going to be the end of Dottie. But I think now that she has Divinity, she has someone to pass this down to. She feels more ready. But yeah, it's definitely sad. I'm curious if also Divinity, because she's in debt to the Perfection, can she stay here, or are they gonna come try to grab her away? I thought she wasn't able to really live a free life all the time, so I'm curious where that's gonna be headed.
Yeah, I like that she could relate to Dylan more now. They both lost their parents, or they're authoritative figures, you could say.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. To me, I think Dottie's coming back. I get the feeling that she'll be
100%
revived. I don't think we'll never see her again. If anyone can do Magic Force Ghost, it's probably going to be Dottie at the very least. We'll probably get some.
She's going to be a ghost. Do you think?
Maybe not a human form. Know. Maybe she can send one message from the afterlife at the very least. I don't think this is the last we ever see of Dottie for sure, whether it be in the past or the future. But yeah, the death came out of nowhere, and Dottie's a big character to lose because that's your safeguard in this world, right? She had all the wisdom. She was the prison guard. And she basically sacrificed her life to take care of these demons. I don't know what the payment was, and not like she was hungry, but I mean, that's got to be a toll in trying to rehabilitate these demons. Without her in the world, it's going to be even harder when we do log up some of these villains that left. So it's going to be interesting to see what the new protocol is going forward. So big implications going forward in this issue.
I also want to see how Divinity receives that message. How is she going to is she going to hate Dottie? Is she going to feel resentment towards her? Is she going to forgive her? Does she understand? It's not very clear in the moment. I think she's too sad to really react more than that.
Yeah. I think also like there's still so much I feel like we can learn about Dottie. Like I feel like we still
Yeah.
kind of just scratch the surface. We still don't really know her past or history that much. We've gotten a little more, so I definitely hope at the very least we see her in some flashbacks because
Yeah,
she's definitely
she's
one of
such
the
a good
all-time
character.
greats. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's awesome.
And back to the rogue son of it all. We're back at with rogue son Dylan and Marcus. They're looking for evidence or anything that will lead them to the Philistine. They go into like this casino, and in the middle of their investigation, this is actually kind of funny. I actually laughed out loud when this happened. In the middle of the investigation, there's an arrow that's fired into Dylan's armor. It actually pierces his armor, and he says, "Oh man, yeah, that's through the metal a little. Geez." And that's where Marcus responds, "That's an aviary arrow, Dylan." And so like these three girls show up, really really badass looking girls in this armor. They all have their weapons, and they're called Mina, Lark, and who's the other one? I forget the other one's name. Yeah, we'll figure it out eventually. But yeah, so they're fighting Dylan, and these guys are clearly on the side of the traders within the aviary. They're not working for the Raven Queen anymore. They're undercover. I love the funniest shit is that like he's like telling them like whoa, like I'm not here to fight you, like we're on the same side. Like one of them looks at him, she's like, oh man, he has no idea, poor thing. And then she's like, no, we're not. I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, read the room, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we're not fighting
yeah.
for the Raven Queen. We're fighting for the throne, she says. And
Yeah.
and also we see the one of the girls at the aviary who sends them here. Like one of the girls she was looking through some of the scrolls and she said, "Oh, I found where Philistine is." So obviously we know she's also on the side of the Raven Queen as well. So it seems like there's lots of people against the Raven Queen here, which was not the thought that I got when I first like met her. I was like, oh, she's been doing such awesome things, and I don't know, like I assumed everyone was on her side. To be honest, I don't know about you guys, but
No,
Me either.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
It'd be interesting to see what happens if we lose the aviary, because that could happen, and maybe the new person takes
Yeah.
over. And to have someone with eyes and ears everywhere would be tough on top of
Yeah.
Morningstar, or maybe this person's aligned with Morningstar, and that's who's getting them to do this.
You guys get that feeling of like the way they look at Raven Queen after she brings Dylan in is similar to how like they look at Diana in DC when she brings like Steve Trevor to the mascara. They're just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
You know,
or
we don't
bringing
do this shit
outsiders to
here.
Wakanda. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's like we don't. What is this bullshit? What is this guy shit? And it's like it's a little boy too. It's not even a man. It's like this boy that you brought here. He doesn't understand shit from shit, you know. But I love
that
this,
could be
like,
part of it. That could be part of it.
oh yeah,
for
100%.
sure.
I love how they're
100%.
like fighting him with weapons, right? Like one of them has a bow and arrow, the other one has two swords, the other one has the chains. And then he's like, bro, he says, having I don't know, a sword would really be helpful right now. And then Marcus is like saying to him, Dylan, what is this obsession with weaponry? You can fly, have enhanced strength and speed, not to mention the Blackfire. What do you think a sword? And then the girl with the two swords just knocks him on his ass. And he's like, you know what? We can have this conversation later. It's like you realize not only is he wrong, he's just getting his ass handed to him. He's just distracting him. So I thought that was really funny. But that's when Dylan starts to play a little nasty. He starts to embrace his some of the powers that he has, and he starts to like almost like a Batman. Like he's using stealth. He's like being sneaky. Tosses one out into the water. He grabs the chains from the other one, beats the shit out of her, and then he just like turns the chains into like this flaming chains, and then knocks the last one down on her ass. I love that. I love finally seeing him come on top, and like these aren't like weak foes or anything. They're not as strong as some of the people he's fought, like Philistine, for example, or that he's about to fight, but they're strong, and he managed to put them on their ass. And then the last one comes for him. He knocks her down. She's even bleeding. Like when you look at her through the wreckage of the floor, she's like, there's a lot of blood. So this dude, like, he went hard on them. Like he wasn't holding back. So he's like, and then that's when Marcus says, you can bask in your formidable victory later. We need to get back to the aviary now. That's when we get back to the aviary. To the perspective of other characters, here is the wing. What is it called? Wing Huntress.
Wing Keeper. The Wing Keeper.
Wing Keeper. Yeah, the Wing Keeper, which looks incredible, by the way. Sick design. And then we see actually the Wing Keeper is not against Raven Queen. She's actually still in favor. Like she's actually still working with the Raven Queen because she's also shocked to see the betrayal with the red door being open. Like, why is it open here? Why is it here? And that's where we see that someone actually walked her outside the aviary and kind of
Yeah.
closed the door shut. Or it's the Philistine. He's trying to like basically get her out, kill her ass, and then go back in and kind of close it so that he's in there. I love that moment. I thought that was a really badass moment.
Yeah.
Like the coloring is fantastic. The red of it all is really cool. And then you just see the Philistine, and then the fox is in the hen house, wingkeeper, and he's very hungry. Like, what a douchebag. He's talking about himself in the third person. Like, what a douchebag.
Oh, I know, literally. And this girl too, like, and you can tell another betrayer who was walking up with the wingkeeper. Like, he kept trying to tell her, we cannot be here. We're not supposed to be here. We should go back. This is off limits. The ascension's about to happen. So I think, she was definitely trying to keep the wingkeeper away because she knows how powerful he is. I hope we still do get to see how powerful the wingkeeper is, because that would kind of suck. We
and
don't really
is that
get to
woman
see
at
any.
the end though? Is that
woman at the end is the avian? That's the
it's the girl that was by her side, right?
Yeah, same thing on her chest, same headpiece.
Okay.
Still we don't know anything about her at all. Next issue I'm sure we will start.
This is some Game of Thrones.
To learn
some
more.
Game of Thrones shit right here.
Yeah,
this is like
Wingkeeper
conspiracy.
No, the Wingkeeper just looks like the design is like really amazing. We're just throwing out designs like that. I hope we do get more of that. Like, it's
even Philistine, he reminds me of like one of the Mortal Kombat guys mixed with like Reaper from Overwatch. Like, he has this like badass look about him. Like, I don't know what it is. It looks great. So very cool. Really great way to end it. I love these kinds of endings because it always has you excited for the next issue. I was very excited. Like, this was an awesome ending. I think this issue is great because a lot happens, a lot of important moments. We get a lot of reveals. We get the origin of Divinity. We get the death of Dottie. We get even more villains. We find out what exactly the deal is in the aviary. We're still not clearly aware of what the repercussions will be moving forward. So I'm very excited to see that. And that's solid issue. The pacing's been fantastic because the next one's going to be a lot of action, a lot of the end of the line. And I'm very curious to see what happens in the next one, how they're going to recover. And then I'm very curious to see how that's going to play into what happens in 25. If they do lose the aviary, that's going to be a big loss in the battle against like these magical forces, against Morningstar. That's a big base to lose. And I'm very curious if that does happen, who's going to take over? What is their agenda going to be? And then you can see the letters. You can see the cover for the next issue. And Philistine's on the cover, so clearly it looks like him and Dylan, they're going to have a big fight, and there's going to be shadows involved. Can't wait.
You think this is where he gets the sword, or not yet? Is he going to get the sword?
I want him to get something. I want him to get something, man.
It's
been 20-something issues. I need my boy to get some upgrade.
He always does best when he's trying to prove his dad wrong. So I think his dad's kind of pissed at him right now, off to the side. So I definitely think he's going to conjure up something, 100%. And your letter. It was definitely a good letter. I love that, and it's Ryan writing all these back, right? Is it Ryan writing?
It's Michael.
Yeah. Oh, okay, it's Michael. But he said he was going back. He was going back through lore earlier today, because he was looking for dates for some stuff in later issues. Yeah. And not romantic dates, he says.
There's like a hint at things to come. So we should do some research. If anyone has any thoughts on what they think that might be alluding to, let us know in the comments. I'm very curious. We're gonna have to do with 24 coming up, it's the perfect time to do a roguesun reread after the hiatus, because the next issue won't be until March 2025. So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a reread the roguesun after,
and we might do some roguesun trivia coming up too as well. So that'd be a good time to bone up on your roguesun knowledge.
Give away some fiery goods. But that's another fantastic issue. Really loved this issue again. It was an emotional issue. It was, with the origin, with the death, there was a lot happening. I like how it kind of reminds me of Buffy in the sense of Buffy starts out being about Buffy, but then the group grows and it starts like all these characters become amazing and you learn a lot. There's a lot of episodes where they're focused on these other characters just as well as they focus on Buffy. And I love that about this arc where it's like Divinity is such a good character. Dottie's such a good character. I'm glad that we're focusing on them, but we're not neglecting anything. The pacing is excellent, bouncing between both expertly, but we're not really losing anything there. I think they're utilizing the real estate really well. Again, the ending ends on a perfect note in terms of setting up the next issue. So I thought this was a super solid issue. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about it on the Discord or on the social media, considering like Dottie died. That's a big death. Matt said, I think we'll see her back in some form. I'm very curious to see what that'll be like. But yeah, that just so many questions answered, but also raising so many more questions for the next one. So yeah, fantastic. Moving forward, what can you guys expect? Well, there's one more issue in December that we're going to be obviously reviewing. While roguesun is on downtime, we're still going to be covering anything Ryan does. So Vicarious during that time, I think, should have some issues. So we'll be talking about that. And we'll look out for our Vicarious number 1 and 2 reviews, probably coming out sometime this week. So very, very good book. And if you're someone who loves Massiveverse, then let me tell you, everyone working on that book is Massiveverse person. We have Eleonora Carlini, who did the incredible Radiant Black variants that everyone loves. You know what I'm talking about. And then we have Mattia Iacono, who did the Dead Lucky colors. He's doing the colors on that book. And then we have, of course, Ryan Parrott writing it. And is Michael even editing that book? I wouldn't be surprised if it's Michael editing.
Probably.
Yeah,
probably everything.
And
but yeah,
and Pinocchio on the covers. So
it's great.
Yeah.
Bash was saying off air, it reminds me of a Black Mirror episode, and I agree. It feels like Black Mirror in the best way possible. If you like sci-fi and like dark futuristic concepts.
Maybe the most twisted book we've done. So
definitely. I'm gonna have to watch my ass talking about it. Like, it's true though.
With holy water as well. I agree with the guys. Can't wait to talk about that one. And I think that's pretty much it. Anything anyone wants to add before we head on out?
Next issue is going to be big. We know it's the end of the arc. Great time to round out the year as well of all this Massiveverse stuff we've gotten to. So good time for that. And that's it. Can't wait to get into Vicarious this week. And this was awesome.
Great series.
If you haven't seen the roguesun Volume 4 trade, cover just came out, and it's Divinity. It's on the cover. It looks gorgeous. Abel did the cover, I'm pretty sure. Check that out. Get your pre-orders in for that soon. I think it's coming out very soon. We'll hit you with the date next time. But until then, guys, we'll see you next time. Go Rogue.